Good Monday Matters. I hope you had a great Sabbath and are looking forward to a great week, enjoying all that God has in store for you. My name is Mike Courtney, and this is Monday Matters. Every Monday, I take a few minutes and talk about something. Well, it's probably not a few minutes, but I try to make it a few minutes. Talk about something that makes your life happier, healthier, and perhaps a little bit holier. It was a beautiful day in Middle Tennessee on Sunday. Okay, I confess, I know this Monday Matters, but I recorded it Sunday night. So I worked outside after church. I worked outside all day today, and hence the uh, MTSU shirt and baseball cap and all those things. But it's just a great day. I thought, I'm not gonna put on any pretenses. You're gonna get Monday Matters just the way it is. Speaking of church, I spoke this morning at Center Point Church in Hendersonville. It is a fantastic church. Jason Bow, I think, is Pastor Bow. I'm not sure how to pronounce Jason's last name. I don't know if I've ever said his last name, but it's just an amazing group of people. Man, if you're in that Hendersonville, Goodlettsville area and looking for a church, you would enjoy Center Point Church. It's just super. They are operating with excellence. Such a great group of people. We had a good morning, and it was fun to be there, and I was grateful to be a part of that. They started a series. Today was the first of the series called "The Elephant in the Room," where they're taking all month to deal with questions that people usually are afraid to ask, particularly in church. And today was mental health questions. And they had a series of mental health questions that they'd asked me to address, kind of work it into a sermon. In fact, the list of questions, how do Christians deal with trauma? Is it wrong to have anxiety as a Christian? How do Christians handle grief? And then, is it appropriate for Christians to take medication? Just kind of, and there was kind of more questions, but it basically summed up into those four parts. And it was a great day. They were responsive, just incredible music, good people. It was a good day. So, in fact, I thought, well, I'm going to take, all of that was in one sermon. I thought I'm going to take that sermon over the next 3 or 4 weeks, break that up into smaller pieces and make that Monday Matters. I used as a background, as a story, the story of Elijah facing the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. 1 Kings 18 and 19, the story kind of goes across those two chapters. And so I thought today, well, I'd like to talk to you about the problem with mountaintop experiences. You know the story. Ahab's the king, Jehoshaphat's his queen. The country's in bad shape. There's a drought. Elijah challenges. They're turning to Baal. Elijah challenges the prophets of Baal. So let's go up on the mountain. Take 450 prophets of Baal. Sacrifice a bull. Put it on wood. Don't set fire to it. I'll sacrifice a bull. I'll put it on wood. And we'll just pray. You pray to your God. I'll pray to Jehovah. And whoever's God answers by fire. That's God. You know that story, and it's just an amazing, incredible story of great victory, and Elijah wins the day. It's a mountaintop experience. Now, next week we're going to talk about the whiplash from that, because in the very next chapter he's down in the dumps and depressed and wishes he were dead and all those things. But for now, this mountaintop experience, we live in a day and age, I think, where our churches are measured by, and in fact, our personal experience is measured by the ability to produce high emotional highs, mountaintop experiences. We live by that. Now, I'm not against that. I love that. I'm in favor of that. But when that's all we do, when that's what we expect, I think there are some dangers. There are 4 things in this story that, and this isn't exegetical. I'm kind of taking these things out of context to make a point, but there are 4 interesting points in this story. The first is, when we are living for the mountaintop experience, performance takes precedence over people. In verse 27, he is taunting the prophets of Baal. He's saying, hey, your God's not answering. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he went to the bathroom. He says them, he's not answering. He's taunting them. Now, I know I'm taking this out of context, but that's not what we do. That's not what we're about. We're about people. Our hearts should be broken when people are following the wrong God, going the wrong way. But when we are so focused on our own emotional high, then we just focus on the performance around us, and we forget to be passionate about people, to care about people. Another thing that happens is I make me the Messiah. In verse 30, he says, all right, enough of them. Come to me. Look at me. Come over here. He becomes the center of attention. And if I am measuring my walk with God by my own emotional experience, then quite honestly, I'm at the center of my universe. It's all about me. And that's not what God intended. I am not the Messiah. I am not the one that creates good feelings or joy. That comes from God. Fourth thing, bigger always gets better. You remember the story. The prophets of Baal fail, so he says, get buckets of water, 4 buckets of water, pour on the wood and the sacrifice. They do. He says, do it again. Verse 34, he says, do it again. They do it again. He says, do it one more time. And again, I'm taking it out of context, I know, but it's this big, grandiose, bigger is better. The more splash I can make, the more pizzazz and if we're not careful, our worship services become about that. They become productions and trying to generate something. That's not, bigger is not always better. Sometimes quiet is better. Sometimes the still small voice of God is better. We'll talk about that at a later time. But when we live for these mountaintop experiences, bigger gets better, and that's not always true. And then finally, this running replaces righteousness. Running replaces righteousness. The end of that chapter, Ahab goes back to the palace, and Elijah actually outruns him, runs back to the palace. When we're living on the mountaintop, we have to constantly be moving, constantly be running, constantly generating the next thing, telling the next story, having the next big idea, instead of just focusing on the righteousness of God and allowing God to work in us. I'm certainly not doing good exegesis on this chapter, and I'm also not minimizing what happens when we're on the mountaintop. But when that's what we focus on, when that's the important thing, I think we've missed the point. So I jotted down 3 things that we miss when we are on the mountaintop, and 3 mountaintop stories. We miss our purpose. Our purpose is not to be on the mountain. Remember the story of Moses up on the mountain, and the children of Israel fall apart while he's up there. They start worshiping the gold. Moses' purpose was to lead the people. And staying on the mountaintop too long caused him to not be in a place to lead the people. We miss our purpose if we stay on the mountain too long. The second thing is we miss the people. We're supposed to be among the people. We're supposed to be rubbing shoulders with them. You remember when Jesus took Peter and John up to the Mount of Transfiguration, and Peter said, hey, let's build 3 tabernacles and just stay here. And he said, no, we're supposed to be down there among the people, rubbing shoulders with the people. Listen, people don't live on the mountaintop, and so we shouldn't either. We need to go down where they are. And then here's the last one that's going to be a little hard. We miss the pain. The problem with being on the mountaintop is there's not any pain. We're going to talk about the pain of Elijah for the rest of the story. If he'd stayed on the mountaintop, he wouldn't have. But pain is important. Pain is where we grow. Pain is where we learn. Pain is where we model Jesus. My life verse, Philippians 3, 10, and 11. I want to know Christ and the power of his resurrection, the fellowship of sharing in his suffering, becoming like him as he is. You can't do that on the mountaintop. You can't do that when you're constantly just after an emotional experience. So we'll talk about the rest of this story over the next few weeks. But for today, the mountaintop is not always the right place to be. Sometimes God needs us in the valley so he can do good work in us and good work with us. I hope you have a great day. Hope God blesses you this week. I hope you enjoy life both on the mountaintop and in the valley. I will post something each day about emotional experiences. Thank you so much for being a part of Monday Matters. God bless you. Have a good week.